And we have seen some devastating images from that Russian invasion. Mothers and children holding hands there, lining up at Ukraine's border to escape. Again, 2 million people have fled to neighboring countries in the 2 weeks since this attack began. The head of the United Nations Refugee Agency calls it the fastest growing refugee crisis in Europe since World War II. For people who are trying to escape Ukraine, it has been a very scary journey.
Yeah, joining us now is Regina Jacobson. She's an immigration attorney practicing here in Northern California. So, Regina, I know you have some clients who are trying to get out. What are you hearing from them? What's it like?
Good evening. The experience is horrible. I have clients who have parents. I have clients who have wives with little kids. Getting out entails walking miles and miles in the forest near the border, being cold, being hungry, being under bombing or under fire. People are fleeing everywhere. A lot of people are trying to get to the United States, but not everyone has a U.S. visa. So a lot of Ukrainians are trying to get to Mexico to surrender at the U.S.-Mexican border to seek political asylum from the U.S. authorities, because they do have family that can take them in, and they do fear for their lives.
And such a tough time. A lot of families are torn apart. The husbands staying home and the wives, the kids on their own, basically, as they're going through that journey. So what are the options for refugees who want to immigrate here to Northern California?
The options are, at this point, are very limited. Mostly people who have U.S. visas. The Department of Homeland Security and the Customs Border Protection have taken an unofficial position that Ukrainians who fly into the United States with U.S. visas will not be questioned regarding intent. They will just be allowed into the country. And I've actually seen this in the past week, that people just enter the country with visas without any obstacles. But those who are not lucky enough to have U.S. visa, they're trying to get to Mexico, and they're trying to approach the U.S. border and surrender seeking asylum. And these options are very limited. They're very difficult, because at this point, U.S. has not opened the refugee program similar to the ones opened in Europe.
Yeah, that's a very good explanation.
Yeah.
So, Regina, so many of our viewers, I think, they want to do something, but we all kind of feel a little bit helpless here on the other side of the world. So what can people here do to help some of the refugees?
You know, two things that people can do. Right now, Department of Homeland Security announced a temporary protection status for Ukrainian nationals. But the way the program is designed, as it has been announced, it only covers those Ukrainians who have been in the United States as of March 1st. If you look at when the war began, which is 4:30 in the morning on February 24th, we have a handful of people who managed to get to the United States by March 1st. So basically, this temporary protected status is only going to cover those that have been in the United States prior to the war. It doesn't really cover those who are fleeing the war. So I think constituents should address it with their representatives, that the U.S. government and Department of Homeland Security should make appropriate changes to the TPS program for Ukrainians, because it doesn't really serve the purpose. And the second thing people can do is basically be sponsors for those who flee. Maybe have Ukrainians reach out to churches or to organizations in the United States for families to basically give them support in the sense that the Customs Border Protection on the U.S.-Mexican border has somebody to call in the United States and confirm that the family, if released from custody, will have somewhere to go for at least the first 3 days of their lives in the United States. That's very important.
Yeah, those sponsors can really serve as a bridge. Regina, thank you so much for the information and for the work that you're doing.
Thank you.